I'm sure many of you were following along with me just the other day as the grand spectacle of the American state visit unfolded at Windsor Castle. A state reception is always a mesmerizing sight, but for those of us who adore history, the real theater unfolds not in the official speeches, but in the quiet language of the jewels. This evening, behind the sparkle of the diamonds, were hidden not only centuries-old stories, but also passionate debates. Why did the choice of tiaras by Queen Camilla and the Princess of Wales spark such a strong reaction? Who became the true unsung star of the evening? And what personal messages were woven into each precious piece? Let's explore it together. Before we begin, please support my channel by clicking on the like and subscribe buttons. Thank you. And so our story begins, not with the grand tiaras of the evening, but hours earlier, during the formal welcome ceremony. This is where the first quiet messages are always sent. As the royal ladies stepped out into the Windsor daylight, they seemed to be painting a picture of diplomacy with their outfits. Queen Camilla in a beautiful royal blue, and the Princess of Wales in a rich, deep cranberry, a subtle nod to the flags of both nations. It's always in these thoughtful details that the real narrative begins. Let's start with Queen Camilla. She arrived in a familiar royal blue coat by one of her go-to designers, Fiona Clare, looking the picture of regal elegance. But my eyes, like yours I'm sure, were immediately drawn to the spectacular jewel pinned to her coat. This was the magnificent Russian sapphire and diamond brooch, a piece with a history as deep and dramatic as its color. What I find so fascinating about this brooch is that it's a true survivor. It began its life in the glittering court of Imperial Russia, belonging to Empress Marie Feodorovna, who was born a Danish princess and was the sister of Britain's own Queen Alexandra. If you look at portraits of the Empress in her full splendor, you can see this sapphire among a treasure trove of other jewels. It's a stunning piece, with a large oval sapphire surrounded by a delicate layer of gold filigree work and a halo of brilliant diamonds. But of course, that glittering world was not to last. After the revolution, the Dowager Empress managed to escape Russia, taking some of her precious jewels with her. Following her death in 1928, this brooch, along with other pieces, was sold by her daughters. And who should purchase it but one of the greatest royal collectors of all time, Queen Mary. It was a fitting new home, bringing a treasure from the Empress into the British royal family, the very family of her own sister, Queen Alexandra. From there, it became a particular favorite of the Queen Mother, who wore it faithfully for over half a century, before it passed to Queen Elizabeth II. And now we see it has found a new admirer in Queen Camilla. I find this particularly lovely, as the Queen has often shown a special affection for the jewels that were so cherished by the Queen Mother, creating a wonderful personal link across the generations. This brooch truly is a living symbol of resilience, surviving revolution, exile, and the passage of time. But the brooch wasn't the only sapphire catching the light that day. And this is where a fascinating little mystery comes in. If you looked closely at her ears, you would have noticed a pair of sapphire and diamond clip earrings. The design, featuring a dark blue sapphire surrounded by a modern sunburst-style diamond cluster, is remarkably similar to another very famous pair, the earrings from the Saudi sapphire suite, gifted to Diana, Princess of Wales, for her wedding. The resemblance is so striking, it immediately sparked a debate. Could they possibly be the same pair? The evidence, however, suggests probably not. For one, Diana had pierced ears, while Camilla does not. And while earrings can, of course, be converted, Camilla has so far not worn pieces previously worn by royal ladies with pierced ears. Furthermore, Diana kept the Saudi sapphires after her divorce, and those jewels have since been seen only on her daughters-in-law. A more likely explanation is that Camilla's earrings are a similar, but separate pair. It's even possible they are part of a sapphire parure gifted to her during a visit to Saudi Arabia back in 2006. And Queen Camilla wasn't the only one wearing a piece steeped in history. The Princess of Wales arrived looking absolutely immaculate in her dark cranberry ensemble, her accessories chosen with just as much care. She wore a lovely pair of diamond and ruby cluster drop earrings, perfectly complementing the rich tones of her outfit. But the true statement piece, the one steeped in meaning, was the jewel pinned to her dress, Queen Alexandra's 3 feathers brooch. This piece is so much more than just a beautiful object. It's practically a badge of office, traditionally worn by the woman married to the Prince of Wales. It was created back in 1863 by Gerard as a wedding gift for the then Princess Alexandra of Denmark. It was a present from a committee of women, the Ladies of North Wales, who raised the funds by subscription to welcome their new princess. The design itself is the heraldic badge of the Prince of Wales, a trio of ostrich feathers encircled by a coronet. Below it, a ribbon bears the motto, Ich diene, which is German for I serve. What a powerful yet subtle statement to make. Princess Diana famously loved this piece, though she often wore it as a pendant on a necklace. Camilla, during her time as Duchess of Cornwall, also wore it as a brooch on a handful of occasions, though it never became one of her signature pieces. Now, we see Catherine wearing it, connecting herself to a long line of women who have held her title. When Catherine first wore this brooch publicly in November 2022, just 2 months after becoming Princess of Wales, she was making a statement as clear as any royal proclamation. By pinning those 3 feathers to her dress, she was accepting not just a piece of jewelry, but a role, a responsibility, and a promise to serve. But as remarkable as these daytime choices were, they were merely setting the stage. The real jewelry drama, with all its glittering splendor and surprising controversies, was yet to unfold when the sun set over Windsor Castle that evening. As the grand doors of St. George's Hall opened and the guests took their places, the anticipation was palpable. State banquets are always spectacular, but there are certain moments that transcend the formal pageantry and become pure magic. And the entrance of the Princess of Wales was precisely such a moment. Her gown was a breathtaking creation by the British designer Philippa Lepley, whom she has turned to for significant occasions in the past. It consisted of a gold lace evening coat layered over a silk gown, creating an effect that was both dramatic and regal, a truly memorable statement piece for such an important event. Accompanied by her sash and star of the Royal Victorian Order and the Royal Family Orders, the princess looked every bit the future queen. But as magnificent as the gown was, it was the dazzling royal heirlooms she wore with it that truly began to tell the story of the evening. And it is here, in the history of these dazzling heirlooms, that the evening story truly begins to unfold. Let's start with those earrings, shall we? Sparkling at Catherine's ears were the Queen's diamond frame earrings, a particularly elegant pair featuring diamond cluster studs from which graduated diamond pendants are suspended, all surrounded by delicate diamond frames. These beauties have quite the royal pedigree, having first appeared on Queen Elizabeth II at the state opening of Parliament in 2012. Catherine has been wearing these earrings since 2016, when she first borrowed them from the royal collection for the Place to Be Awards. They've become one of her go-to pieces, and I can see why. They strike that perfect balance between substantial and sophisticated, adding just the right amount of sparkle without overwhelming her features. There's something deeply satisfying about seeing these earrings continue their royal journey, moving seamlessly from one generation to the next. But of course, the true showstopper was perched atop her head like a crown of captured moonbeams. The Lover's Knot Tiara is one of those pieces that seems almost too beautiful to be real. Its design is poetry in precious metal, 19 diamond lover's knots, each one suspending a perfect pear-shaped pearl that trembles with every movement, creating the most enchanting dance of light and shadow. This magnificent creation has quite the origin story, actually. In 1913, Queen Mary found herself coveting a particular tiara, the Cambridge Lover's Knot tiara that belonged to her aunt, the Grand Duchess of Mecklenburg-Strelitz. Since Mary couldn't acquire the original, she did the next best thing. she commissioned the royal jeweler Gerard to make her a brand new copy. I just love that story. It speaks so much to Queen Mary's character. If she saw a jewel she admired, she would find a way to have it one way or another. The new tiara was made using diamonds and pearls already in Mary's possession. In its original form, it was even grander than it is today, topped with a row of large, upright pearls that had once sat atop another iconic piece, the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. Queen Mary later had those top pearls removed, giving the tiara the slightly more delicate, though still imposing silhouette we know today. After Queen Mary, the tiara passed to her granddaughter, Queen Elizabeth II. But it was in 1981 that its modern story truly began, when the Queen offered it to her new daughter-in-law, Diana, Princess of Wales. In Diana's hands, it became more than just a royal heirloom. It became a global symbol, recognized and beloved the world over. After her death, this spectacular jewel, so tied to her memory, vanished from public view for nearly 2 decades, waiting for a new princess to bring it back into the light. That moment finally came in December 2015. Royal watchers everywhere held their breath as the then Duchess of Cambridge arrived for the annual diplomatic reception, and there it was. Since that debut, the Lover's Knot tiara has, without a doubt, become Catherine's signature piece. It's the tiara we see her in more than any other. It's an interesting choice, especially considering its history. There have long been reports that Diana found the tiara, with its solid frame and swinging pearls, to be incredibly heavy and prone to causing headaches. This is why she often reverted to her family's lighter Spencer tiara. Catherine, however, seems to wear it with absolute ease and pleasure. Clearly, the weight is no issue for her, which only reinforces that this is a piece she has truly made her own. And this is where the great debate truly begins. On one hand, there is a powerful argument for this consistency. By making this tiara her own, Catherine is creating an instantly recognizable and iconic image for a future queen consort. She is linking herself directly to a powerful line of women: Queen Mary, who commissioned it, Queen Elizabeth II, who inherited it, and Diana, who made it world famous. It suits her beautifully, and there is a certain strength in having a signature jewel. It's a very thoughtful, deliberate approach to building her royal identity. And yet, for many devoted jewelry lovers, this predictability has become a point of quiet frustration. The question echoes in the comments sections after every state banquet. Why always the Lover's Knot? The British royal vaults are arguably the greatest in the world, filled with treasures that haven't been seen in generations. Many remember her single, stunning appearance in the delicate Strathmore rose tiara and yearn to see it make a return. Or perhaps for her to surprise us all by delving even deeper into the vaults for something truly legendary, which has remained hidden from public view for decades. So I would love to hear from you. What do you think? Should Catherine continue with the Lover's Knot, a tiara that so clearly suits her and that she has made her own? Or are you, like so many others, hoping to see her wear something different? And if so, which tiara do you dream of seeing her in next? While the Princess of Wales was a vision in pale gold, Queen Camilla made an equally powerful, though very different, statement. Her arrival was one of quiet authority. As the host of the evening, she radiated a magnificent and very regal presence in a deep, majestic royal blue gown. The gown itself was a beautiful canvas of shimmering blue, the perfect backdrop to showcase the incredible jewels she had chosen for the night. And it was these jewels that truly told the story. Let's begin with a smaller but no less fascinating detail: the magnificent bracelets on her wrists. At first glance, one could see she was wearing a stack of 3 spectacular Art Deco bracelets from Cartier. There were 2 all-diamond bracelets, and a third set with diamonds and rich blue sapphires, which perfectly echoed the color of her gown and tiara. They were originally gifts from a husband to his new wife. Between 1923 and 1925, the then Duke of York, the future King George VI, gifted these bracelets one by one to his bride, the Duchess of York, who would become the beloved Queen Mother. They were Christmas and birthday presents, a precious and personal collection built over time. The full set actually consists of 5 bracelets, 2 with diamonds, and 1 each with rubies, emeralds, and sapphires. But these bracelets hold a fascinating and largely forgotten piece of history. What many may not know is that in the 1920s, a special frame was created by Cartier that allowed 3 of these bracelets to be worn together across the forehead as a sleek and fashionable bandeau tiara. It was a jewel that perfectly captured the spirit of the Jazz Age, and the young Duchess was photographed in it on several occasions. While the frame may still exist in the vaults, the bandeau is a style very much of its time, so it's a treasure we are unlikely to see in that form again. As fashions changed, the bracelets returned to the wrist, eventually passing to Queen Elizabeth II, who wore them for decades. And now, seeing them on Queen Camilla, we are reminded of their incredible journey. Now let's move upward from those historic bracelets to the jewel that crowned Queen Camilla's look for the evening, her tiara. For the state banquet, she chose the Belgian sapphire tiara, a piece she has clearly grown very fond of since becoming queen. Like so many of the most fascinating royal jewels, this one has a rather colorful past and wasn't originally a tiara at all. It began its life as a magnificent sapphire and diamond necklace belonging to Princess Louise of Belgium in the 19th century. Princess Louise was a woman who, to put it mildly, led a very dramatic life and had a bit of a spending problem, which eventually led to her jewels being sold off. The necklace disappeared for a time before re-emerging in 1963, when it was purchased by Queen Elizabeth II. She needed a sapphire tiara to coordinate with the beautiful suite of sapphires her father, King George VI, had given her as a wedding present. So the necklace was mounted on a frame, and it has been worn exclusively as a tiara ever since. For Queen Camilla, this piece has become a significant part of her new royal wardrobe, one of the first major tiaras she wore as queen. However, much like the debate surrounding the Princess of Wales's choice, this one also sparked a conversation among connoisseurs. Many had hoped to see something different, perhaps something that would create a more harmonious pairing with the true showstopper of her ensemble, which was, without a doubt, her necklace. And what a showstopper it was! We are talking, of course, about the legendary Greville festoon necklace. This jewel is one of the crown pieces from one of the most famous bequests in royal history. It came to the royal family from Dame Margaret Greville, a formidable society hostess who, upon her death in 1942, left the majority of her magnificent jewelry collection to her friend, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. The jewels arrived in a humble black trunk, but inside was a treasure trove of diamonds, emeralds, and rubies, the full extent of which has never been publicly revealed. This necklace is arguably the grandest piece of all. It is a masterpiece from Cartier, and it holds a clever secret. It's actually 2 separate necklaces that can be worn together to create one monumental 5-row diamond cascade. The first 2-row section was made in 1929, and the smaller 3-row section was added in 1938. For this banquet, the Queen chose to wear the slightly more restrained 3-row version, and even so, the effect was absolutely breathtaking. And just when you thought the dazzling display was complete, there was one final hidden treasure. Pinned discreetly to the back of her garter sash was one of Queen Victoria's diamond bar brooches. Victoria commissioned the 10-diamond piece specifically for her garter insignia, first wearing it as 2 separate clips before having it combined into a single 2-row brooch. But what makes this small jewel truly extraordinary is its status. Queen Victoria designated it an heirloom of the crown, a special title meaning it passes directly from monarch to monarch, belonging not to the person, but to the institution itself. The brooch was worn by Queen Alexandra and then frequently by the Queen Mother. Upon her death in 2002, it passed to Queen Elizabeth II, which leads to a fascinating and often confusing detail. The late Queen was never seen wearing this particular 10-diamond brooch. Instead, she preferred a similar but larger 14-diamond bar brooch. That second brooch, which may also have belonged to Queen Victoria, was famously worn by Queen Mary, and it became the one Queen Elizabeth II preferred for securing her own garter sash. So, by wearing it, Queen Camilla was not only continuing a quiet, unbroken tradition of her predecessors, but was also bringing a true heirloom of the crown back into the public eye for the first time in a generation. It's a perfect example of how, in the royal world, even the most functional items are steeped in history, and how the deepest stories are sometimes hidden in the smallest, most overlooked details. Now, as we move from the grand statements made by the Queen and the Princess of Wales, let's turn our attention to another truly remarkable royal lady, one who has always played by her own rules, the Princess Royal. Princess Anne's presence at any state banquet is a joy for those who appreciate character and consistency. She arrived in a vintage evening jacket and skirt from her own closet, and while some might call her style dated, for Anne, it's a powerful statement. It speaks to her famous thriftiness, her lack of concern for fleeting trends, and a deep sense of self-assurance. And the jewels she chose for the evening are just as unique and characterful as she is. Crowning her look was the aquamarine pine flower tiara. This is one of the more unusual and artistic pieces in the collection, a beautiful creation from Cartier. It has a wonderful family history, having been commissioned by her grandfather, King George VI, as a wedding anniversary present for her grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. The design is quite distinct, featuring pine cone-inspired elements, often called pine flowers, interspersed with large, beautiful emerald-cut aquamarines. The Queen Mother wore it on a few occasions after the war, but it never seemed to become one of her absolute favorites. In 1973, she passed it on to her granddaughter, Princess Anne, as a wedding gift. But here is where the story gets really interesting and so very typical of the practical princess. The tiara we see on her head today is not quite the one her grandmother received from Cartier all those years ago. True to her no-nonsense character, Princess Anne decided to make some alterations. Sometime after she received it, Anne had the tiara's frame adjusted. She had the sides shortened to better suit her, a fairly common adjustment, but she didn't stop there. She also had the large central pine flower element completely removed, replacing it with one of the rectangular aquamarines to create a slightly smaller, more streamlined piece. So where did that beautiful central piece go? Well, it certainly didn't go back into the vaults to gather dust. In a move that is pure Princess Anne, it was repurposed. For the banquet, if you look closely, you'll see she is also wearing a magnificent aquamarine and diamond brooch. And that brooch is the original centerpiece of the tiara. She had it converted so it could be worn separately, ensuring that every part of her grandmother's gift could be used and enjoyed. She often wears it with the rest of her aquamarine suite, including a pendant that many believe was also created from leftover elements of the original tiara. In this, all is Princess Anne. Nothing goes to waste. Finally, we come to the royal lady who, for many seasoned jewelry enthusiasts, was the undisputed star of the evening. While the grand narratives of the Queen and the Princess of Wales rightly capture the headlines, there is a special joy in observing the quiet, confident mastery of Brigitte, the Duchess of Gloucester. Her appearance at the banquet was, in a word, spectacular. She possesses one of the most significant private collections of royal jewels, and more importantly, she wears them with an unmatched creativity and flair. For this event, she chose a beautiful blue evening gown, which served as the perfect backdrop for a truly dazzling array of diamonds. Her tiara for the evening was her magnificent signature piece, Queen Mary's honeysuckle tiara. This is another masterpiece that originated in the collection of the great Queen Mary, commissioned in 1914. It's a stunning diamond frame of interlaced honeysuckle motifs, a classic and regal design. But the true genius of this tiara, and something Queen Mary was so brilliant at commissioning, is its versatility. The large central element of the tiara is interchangeable. Over the years, it has been seen with several different centerpieces. Originally, it could even hold the famous Cullinan 5 diamond. Today, the Duchess has 3 spectacular options: a lovely diamond honeysuckle element, which she chose for this banquet, a magnificent faceted pink gem, believed to be a kunzite, and a deep green cabochon emerald. The Duchess has worn it in all its variations over her long years of service, and it is a piece she clearly adores. But this transformative tiara was only the beginning of her lesson in jewelry mastery for the evening. The Duchess of Gloucester went even further in her dazzling display of ingenuity. If you look closely at her décolletage, you'll notice a pair of stunning diamond clip brooches perfectly accentuating the neckline of her gown. They look magnificent, as if they were designed to be worn just so. And they were, but not as brooches. These brilliant clips are, in fact, another part of a tiara from her collection. They are elements from her beautiful Art Deco diamond and emerald bandeau, a wedding gift to her mother-in-law, Princess Alice. She also wore 2 magnificent diamond rivieres, one with a floral pendant and a delightful stack of pearl and diamond bracelets on both wrists. Her entire ensemble was a masterclass in how to wear grand jewelry with joy, confidence, and a brilliant, inventive spirit. For those of us who appreciate the art and history of these pieces, the Duchess of Gloucester truly brought the magic, proving once again that sometimes the quietest stars shine the brightest. So what did we truly see on this magnificent evening? It seems to me that each royal lady spoke to us in her own unique jewelry language. For me, this evening proved once again that behind every stone lies a story, and behind every choice lies character. The true magic of Great British Royal Jewelry Collection isn't just their beauty. It's their ability to connect us across generations and reveal the personalities of those who wear them. I would so love to know what you thought of the magnificent jewels we saw this evening. Which pieces captivated you the most? And looking to the future, which heirlooms from the royal vaults do you dream of seeing brought out for the next great state occasion? If you've enjoyed this glittering journey through royal jewelry, please give this video a like and subscribe for more sparkling stories from the world's greatest collection. Thank you for sharing this magical evening with me. Until next time, keep watching for those moments when jewels speak louder than words.